Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to our 64th anniversary. And first of all, thank you, Knudde, for singing the Gaudeamus. And welcome, of course, colleagues, friends, alumni, and students on the celebration. I mean, last year has not been easy for the UT. We had a lot of changes, but we are slowly getting there. And that's also what I want to emphasize. It's not that everything has been solved yet, but we are moving in the right direction. And actually, it's time also to look to the future. And I hope next year, when we celebrate our lustrum, that we actually have a more positive view how things are going within the organization and the future. Now, today, we celebrate not only our anniversary, but also what I would call our shared mission, to educate the next generation, the students, to push boundaries of knowledge, to create impact where society needs it most. And what we have done also in the last year is actually develop a new research and innovation strategy. And as you now can see on the screen, I hope, yep, just to memorize and remember the first, second, and fourth generation. The first generation was the type University of Bologna, focused on education. Then we came to more the Humboldt University approach, where it was on research and education. Then we went to the third generations, like MIT, research, education, and societal value creation. And what we try to achieve is actually really change and serve society by being in the middle of society. And you do this by your talent, the students, the colleagues, but also you create knowledge together with society, and you do this by networking and working together, but also to share facilities on the campus with our environment. So also the region, national and international. Now, our new research and innovation strategy is really aimed to make more steps in that direction. So what we first think, if you want to have impact in society, you also have to focus yourself. So what we did is we decided to focus on 4 main impact themes: climate, chip tech, health, safety, and security. And these 4 themes, they serve us. We are the entrepreneurial university, and that's something we still want to be. And being entrepreneurial means also trying out new things. So not stick to the tradition, but try new ways. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. And we still have this unique signature of high tech and the human touch. And that's something that makes us unique as university. Now, what we also want is actually clear goals related to achieving this impact. Now, the impact we try to make is very specific for the climate. We look at what is actually needed for the future in terms of climate change. So you look at new ways of energy, sustainability, circular methods, and also you look at how can society cope with all the changes we are facing with our changing world. Safety, security, it's traditionally more AI and of cybersecurity oriented, but that we are going to enlarge a little bit more also towards disaster risk management, but also think about all the defense challenges we are facing as Europe that is also changing the demands. And the chip tech, yes, we have a lot of researchers working on this, so on the semiconductors, on the photonics, lab-on-a-chip innovation, and there we build actually the foundations for Europe's digital future. So that's clearly something we don't do here in Twente only. We do it national and we do it international. And these domains are not just separate domains, they work together. So what we also want to do is increase, therefore, our relevant society, and that requires new ways of working. Yes, we still need excellent research, sometimes more fundamental, and then use-inspired, sometimes more use-focused, but you need to develop these changes for these different levels, and you have to do it together with industry, with society, with government, to make actually a difference in these impact themes. And what we need, therefore, is research, education, innovation, and what is new is this lifelong learning, which is actually also a work. It's demand-driven from society, from industry, that we keep up with all these new developments so that we actually serve society, not only teaching our students the state of the art, but also make sure that other people who are already working somewhere are able to tap into this latest knowledge. And therefore it's important we as Team UT, and I say Team UT because I mean the whole, it's the PIs, their colleagues, but also the support. We do it together as a large university, and everyone has a significant role. If you want to interact with society, you have also all these services provisions which we have so within the organization as to the outside, we have to modify and adapt it to make the impact we actually want to achieve. A specific focus for us is on the future of our PhD and engineering doctorate candidates. We think they really require specific attention. And that's also because we see 3 big enablers to make the most of our potential impact. Now, one, and it's an important one, is to empower people. And we do this by excellent research, but also by high impact. That's why we have the impact themes. And they require different ways of working and also different ways of impact. And this needs to be recognized and rewarded. We have a lot of traditional ways of recognition and rewarding, but we need new ones. Now, so what we require here at the university is to develop new ways to actually value, recognize contributions from both discipline, but both also on the impact-oriented approaches, including transdisciplinary research, for example. And this performance needs to be evaluated and also needs to be shared. And that's why we propose, actually, that we need to develop a way, because we still want to recognize the best PhD students. And we want to do this in an open, fair, inclusive, and an entrepreneurial way. And this, I invite you all to contribute to this, because I know we have the cum laude discussion. It's a dispute among us. But it's actually fueled by the need to recognize different ways of excellence. And that's not going to happen by itself by using the traditional process of the cum laude. And we want to do this, we want to involve you all. What are the criteria? What is the right procedure? And preferably we want to do it on an annual basis. So every year we select the top 5% of the theses. And I need your input and your contribution to come up with a fair, open, transparent system. So that's an invitation to all of you, and we will start that process soon. Secondly, we want to capitalize on our strength. And of course, it's because we already have we need to build upon the strength. The faculties, the institutes, they have a clear, let's say, brand, they have knowledge, they have relations, but also infrastructure is important. So we have to also actively invest in our key infrastructure, and that can be from meeting places with citizens for citizen science, be up to the nanolab, where actually people from companies also can do their experiments or even test out some new ways of producing, for example, nanochips. And the third one, and it's equally important, is that the support. We can only do this if we have the correct support organized within the faculties and within the universities. And this is something that we want to really emphasize. We are now actually in the middle of a process in recalibrating the services, both in the faculties and the central services. We are suffering from the 10% budget cuts because we have 10% less people in the services, but we are going to make this work in the next half to 1 year. That's why I'm hopeful that in the next year, we have a much positive story about how the UT is doing. Now, today the focus is on health. And health is one of our impact domains, and therefore also we have now the focus on the hospital of the future. So what we'll do is we'll explore how technology, data, and human-centered design will transform the way we care for another. So Maruska Rovers, she's the scientific director of the TechMed Center, and Mirjam Vollenbroek, board member of MST, the medical spectrum of Twente, you could say if you translate it. They will guide us into this future. I'm also looking forward to the contribution of our students. They will actually visualize the hospital of the future and showing how education and innovation are deeply intertwined at the UT. But we also celebrate excellence. So that's why we have prizes for the Overijssel PhD Award. We have the Best Paper Award for Professor De Winter, and we have the Maria van Damme Scholarships. And they all recognize specific talents and with ambitions which all come from our community. Now this year, it's also the year of Jan Krijke. It's actually 100 years ago that he was born. He's the former rector, one of my predecessors. And he was a pioneer in business and management. Well, apart from that that it is 100 years ago that he actually was born. It's also important to know what he said. He said, we cannot well predict the future, but we can make it. And that's something I want to emphasize. Today, I hope we not only celebrate what we have done up to the 64 years up to now, but let's look forward to the future we can build together with curiosity, courage, and deep commitment to society. Thank you for my introduction.